Hello listeners, this video discusses Judy Syfers' I Want a Wife. Judy Brady Syfers was born in the year 1937 and died in the year 2017. She was an American feminist and a writer. She was involved in consciousness raising. It is an activism popularized in United States feminists in the late 1960s. Her essay I Want a Wife was published in the first edition of Miss Magazine. She focuses on the political and environmental factors that leads to breast cancer. She's basically known for her essay I Want a Wife. Let us see the background of writing Why I Want a Wife. This essay was published in the year 1972 in the first issue of Miss Magazine. During the 1960s, Judy involved in women's movements. When she was actively involved, she found out that her male friend was getting a divorce and trying to find a new wife. One evening, when she was ironing her clothes, she thought about having a wife for herself. She listed all the demands that wives are expected to do on a daily basis. The wife's role or her duty is not appreciated by her husband. A wife is exhausted every day in keeping up with her kids and her husband's needs. She points out the unequal differences between the roles of a wife and a husband in a relationship. She also gives the examples of the duties that women must do to her husband and to her house, that is, to keep clothes washed and keeping up with appointments and making sure that everything is clean around. Also, wives should be physically and emotionally attentive. She also enlisted that having a wife is an advantage to a husband. Judy, by enlisting all the duties that a woman should fulfill in her family, she herself admits as a wife and a mother by realizing the duties that she had to do to keep up with her family. Let us see the summary of this essay. As Judy began this essay, she classifies herself to be a wife. She mentions herself as I am a wife. She also says that incidentally, she is also a mother. Now she talks about her male friend who recently got divorced and he has a child with his ex-wife. At present, he is looking for another wife, and when the narrator was ironing her clothes, she happened to think about why not she herself can have a wife. Now she brings up many reasons that why she needs a wife. When the narrator wants to go to school because she needs to be economically independent to support herself. Now when she is at school, she needs a wife who will work for her and who will send her to school. And while she's at school, she needs her wife to take care of her children, to keep a track of the children's doctor and dentist appointments, also to keep a track of herself. She needs a wife to make sure that her children eat properly and are kept clean. She needs a wife to wash the children's clothes and keep them mended. She needs a wife who is good nurturant attendant to her children, who arranges for their schooling, who give them adequate social life with their peers and take them to park, zoo, etc. She needs a wife who takes care of her children when they are sick and a wife who arranges to be around when the children need special care because she doesn't want to miss her class at school. Her wife also want to work and she shouldn't lose the job in spite of all the duties that she had to do at home. Also, the narrator needs a small amount from her wife's income. In addition to all this, the narrator wants a wife who will take care of all her physical needs to keep the house clean. She needs a wife to clean up her clothes, ironed, mended, and replaced when needed, and also who will keep up her personal things properly so that she can find when She needs it in a moment. She needs a wife to cook a meal, a wife who is a good cook. She needs a wife who will plan the menus and do the necessary grocery shopping, preparing the meals, serving them pleasantly, and then do all the cleaning up work while the narrator is studying. She needs a wife who will care for her when she is sick and sympathize with her pain. She needs a wife who will accompany her family when the family goes to vacation. She needs a wife who will listen to all the complaints that she comes across in her course of studies. She needs a wife who will type her papers when she had written it. She needs a wife who will take care of all the details of her personal and social life. The narrator says, when she and her wife is invited by her friends, then she wants her wife to take care of the babysitting arrangements. When the narrator calls her friends to home, then she needs a wife who will have the house clean, who will prepare a special meal, who will serve it to her friends and not interrupt when she talks about her interest to her friends. She needs a wife who will have arranged all the things that the children need and feed and ready them for bed after the guests arrive so that children will not bother them talking. She needs a wife who will keep the guest comfortable, offer food when needed, and keep the wine glasses clean and fill them when it is necessary. Her wife also must see whether the coffee is served at a proper time. She needs a wife who knows that sometimes the narrator needs a night out by herself. She needs a wife who understands her sensitive sexual needs and a wife who makes love passionately and a wife who makes sure that she is satisfied. She needs a wife who does not demand sexual attention. She needs a wife who assumes the complete responsibility for birth control because she does not want more children. More importantly, she needs a wife who will remain sexually faithful to her. Also, the narrator must have liberty to replace her present wife with another one. Naturally, the narrator expects a fresh new life after divorce so that her wife has to take care of the children and should be solely responsible for them so that the narrator is left free. When the narrator finishes schooling and after she gets a job, she needs a wife to quit working and remain at home so that her wife can more fully and completely take care of a wife's duties. The narrator ends the essay saying, "My God, who wouldn't want a wife?" This essay is a critical commentary on how the work of wives is often taken for granted. The essay also uses humor in its structure. The writer mocks at the situation and obligation in which wives are always immersed. She also draws her own experience to present a good example. She also satirically mentions that a wife has to take care of all the household work, bear children and rear them, and take care of the guests and also the husband. By delivering a condition of a wife, she satirically mentions that a condition of a wife is worse than a servant because a servant works for fixed hours, gets a salary, and also takes a leave when it is required. But a wife works 24-hour. The irony is that the husband is free to do anything that he wants. He can also replace his wife when it is needed, and all his independence and freedom is denied to wife. The theme of this essay is sexism and gender roles. The author addresses the issues of gender inequality in the spectrum of gender roles. This essay serves as a tool to grab the reader's attention. She demonstrates the male perspective of women in that era, that is during 60s and 70s, and also illustrates the man's expectation over women. She uses the lack of empathy that men had towards their wife in regards to needs and desires. Hope this video helps. If you have query, please write it down. Thank you for listening.